On the news tonight, President Buhari meets with relatives of abducted train passengers. Two more ISWAP terrorists linked to Owo church attack arrested. And federal government secures 1,000 terror convictions in 18 months, AGF reveals. Well, many thanks for joining us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogorinde. President Muhammadu Buhari is currently meeting with relatives of passengers abducted during an attack on a train in Kaduna. The development was announced in a tweet by the presidency on Thursday. The train, which was traveling from Abuja to Kaduna, was attacked on March the 28th and several persons were killed. Others sustained injuries while over 50 people were kidnapped. Although some of the abductors have regained their freedom, more than 20 persons are said to still be in captivity.
Today's audience, Your Excellency, is a manifestation of the efforts your administration has put in to secure the release of all those in captivity. Indeed, the fact that they have been invited to an audience with you this afternoon has proven to them that government is not resting on its oars towards securing the release of each and everyone that is still held in captivity.
We have received several suggestions about the employment of lethal military force in extracting those still being held in captivity. This option has indeed been considered and evaluated. However, the condition to guarantee a successful outcome and minimize potential collateral damage could not be assured, and therefore that course of action had to be reluctantly discarded. My primary concern is to get everyone released safe and unhurt. Notwithstanding, I have since directed the service chiefs and their colleagues in the intelligence arms of our law enforcement agencies that seeing an end to this inhumane action is their topmost priority. And judging by the available reports to me and news that have begun emerging in the last few days, I will say they have heard this instruction and are responding appropriately.
Two more Islamic State of West Africa province ISWAP terrorists linked to the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, in Ondo State, have been arrested. Gunmen had on June 5 stormed the Catholic Church, killing over 40 worshippers and injuring others. The incident drew widespread condemnation, with President Muhammadu Buhari urging security agencies to arrest the attackers. Giving an update on arrests made so far, the Director of Defense Information, Jimmy Akpo, said two more suspected ISWAP fighters linked to the attack have been apprehended, revealing that the arrests were made through the collaborative effort by military and DSS personnel.
With respect to the architects of the Owo church attack, 4 of them were arrested on the 1st of August. Those arrested on the 1st of August were Idris Abdulmalik Omenza, alias Bin Malik, Momo Otuhu Abubakar, Aliu Yusuf Itokba, and Awa Ishak Onimisi. Omenza was one of the coordinators of the attack. Then there is Idris Ojo, one of those ISWAP terrorists who escaped from the Kuje Correctional Center when it was attacked. He was arrested on the 7th. and he was hibernating in his brother's home in Ondo State when he was arrested. So that is clarification. Ojo was not amongst the four. He was one of the escapees from the correctional center and was arrested in Ondo State. Again, I sent out another press release of the arrest of 2 additional suspects linked to the attack on the our church. So that's the clarification.
Well, still on security matters, the federal government has secured conviction of 1,000 terrorists to various terms of imprisonment in the last 18 months. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami disclosed this to journalists at the 46th session of the State House briefing organized by the Presidential Communications Team at the Aso Rock Villa in Abuja. Malami also disclosed that the Buhari-led administration secured the conviction of 312 other criminals within the same period.
Federal Ministry of Justice, within the 18-month period I'm talking about, was actively involved in prosecution of 312 criminal cases for various offenses, including terrorism, maritime offenses, armed robbery, cybercrime, kidnapping, among others. We have so far, as a ministry, secured over 1,000 convictions on terrorism within the period in consideration. 1,000 convictions on terrorism. Again, convictions were secured in 45 cases by complex case group. The complex case group, for your information, is a unit established in the Federal Ministry of Justice that requires specialization in prosecution of certain special cases that borders on maritime and indeed associated special cases.
For us to speak more on this, political affairs analyst Adewale Ajadi joins me now. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, the announcement that the federal government has secured conviction of over 1,000 terrorists in the last 18 months is certainly a big deal for many Nigerians who have, for the past 10 years, have been affected by the atrocities perpetrated by this group. But so how important really are these convictions?
The convictions are extremely important in the sense that it gives you an idea of the momentum necessary to ensure that the criminal justice system catches up with those who have chosen to make life terrible in terms of armed attacks on Nigerians, especially on kidnapping. However, it's not exclusively down to the Attorney General or even the Ministry of Justice. If there is success in this respect, it is because the courts have woken up very strongly to their duty to expedite these cases and ensure that the Ministry of Justice has the chance to present the case against the suspects and eventually leading to conviction. So it's congratulations to the courts, and we hope that in future the courts will take this responsibility as seriously as they've done in these cases, rather than we have people being held in pending trial for a long time.
Well, indeed, Adewale Ajadi, political affairs analyst, thank you very much for your time and your contribution. The unrelenting offensive posture of the Nigerian troops against the nation's economic saboteurs has continued to yield the desired results in Bayelsa, Delta and Rivers State respectively. This follows the arrest of 2 high-profile sea pirates in Tai local government area and Fazi Spring Diagnostic and Wellness Hospital in one Eleme local government area of Rivers State. According to the outgoing Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Bernard Uyoko, at a press briefing in Abuja, the attack led to the discovery and destruction of several illegal oil refining sites. Uyoko further confirms that terrorist leader Alhaji Shanono and scores of other terrorists were eliminated by the air component of the military in the north-central zone of the country.
Loyal to a notorious terrorist leader, Aladi Shanono at Ukambo village, possibly for a meeting. The air component of Operation Wild Punch carried a painstaking airstrike during their meeting. In the airstrike, the terrorist leader, Aladi Shanono, and scores of his terrorists were eliminated. Report from locals disclosed that about 30 AK-47 rifles, 20 motorcycles were destroyed, while 18 terrorists were neutralized. Sources also revealed that within the confusion that ensued, about 45 kidnapped civilians within their enclave were released as a result of the airstrike. Additionally, troops arrested 2 high-profile sea pirates known as Faga Golden, aka Fine Boy, at Nongwa village in Tai local government area, and Victor Elkana, aka Victor Paddy, at Farizu Spring Diagnostic and Wellness Hospital in LMA local government area of Rivers State. The suspects are notorious for the series of armed attacks on oil vessels, kidnapping of expatriates, and illegal bunkering within the state.
And now to politics. A summit organized by the Labour Party and a coalition of Peter Obi leadership has commenced in Abuja. The summit has brought together several support groups rooting for the Labour Party and the emergence of Peter Obi and Yusuf Datti Ahmed presidency. Director General of the Obi Datti Presidential Campaign Organization, Doyi Okupe, who said the opening prayers and deliver the address of welcome, promised an issue-based campaign. Speaking during the summit, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, while lamenting the rate of unemployment, promised to move the country from its state of consumption to production.
33% unemployment. By the time you match it with unemployment, because when we talk about unemployment, these are people who don't have a job. If you look at the unemployment, you're talking about 60%. The number of people that are supposed to be working in Nigeria, being a country in quote of 200 million people, is supposed to be 120 million. 60% of your population are supposed to be productive. But as I speak to you, only about 47 million Nigerians are working. So 73 million Nigerians are not doing anything. When we say we are going to move Nigeria from production, consumption to production, they said yes. Nigeria is not a producing country. Nigeria is one of the most talented, energetic youths on the surface of the earth.
The Tinubu Campaign Organization, TCO, has appealed to the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, to call his supporters to order and allow the general election cycle to be about issues that will advance the growth, progress and stability of Nigeria. In a statement by its Director of Media and Communications, Dayo Onanuga, the TCO admonished the LP presidential candidate to get his supporters to desist from spreading lies about other candidates, especially the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Onanuga explained that the TCO saw the need to appeal to Obi to rein in his supporters after investigating the origin of a fake report claiming that the Ghanaian president, Nana Akufo-Addo, wrote a letter to Ahmed Tinubu asking him to support Peter Obi and take care of his health. The Ghanaian president, through his official Twitter account, vehemently debunked the fake news as a product of deliberate mischief with the intent to deceive the public. Well, to help make sense of this, Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu, political affairs analyst, joins us live on the news from Abuja. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, what do you make of the statement from the APC presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's camp? Would you say Obi supporters have crossed the line, or is this mere tension from the APC camp?
Well, thank you for having me. And, this is a campaign season. Fake news, disinformation, misinformation, fabricated lies have become part of campaigning in this country. This is not the first time we are recording this. There are a whole lot of research on this very particular issue. starting from 2015, 2019 to this very particular period. So it's a growing concern, and calling on anybody to say, okay, you could talk to your people to really deal in facts and figures is not something that is out of the ordinary. This very particular fake news we're talking about is something that is being done across party lines. Almost all the supporters of political parties online usually latch onto any fake news to really sell their candidates. So it is not something that is peculiar to Labour Party supporters. It is something that is being done across party line. Right from the very beginning that we noticed this very particular trend, especially in 2015. Majority of the supporters of political parties cannot create content. So they wait online to see any content that appeal to their fancies, and then they latch on and then continue to tweet, retweet, and share and reshare. Only very few have the courage to apologize to their followers when they discover that these are fake news. Majority don't care to check the origin. They only go ahead to retweet and to reshare. So what I'm saying in essence is that it is something that is being done across our party line. Is the degree and the extent to which some other supporters are taking it that should be our.
Now, we seem to have lost you, but many thanks for your contribution, and thank you so much, Abdurrahman, for your time. Now, still on politics, Gbadebo Rhodes Vivor has emerged the gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party at the substitution primaries held in Ikeja, Lagos. Rhodes Vivor, who defected to the Labour Party last month after losing at the PDP primaries, polled 111 delegates' votes against Moshood Salvador's 102 votes. The Deputy National Chairman, Lamidi Apapa, announced that 215 accredited voters cast their votes in the primary election.
I'll be looking to him for, not just advice and inspiration for this election that's going to happen. He has a formidable structure in Lagos State. Somebody that we know when we work together will be able to take Lagos. So he's somebody I'll be reaching out to and I'll be consulting as we move forward. I'm very happy that we had a free and fair election. The Labour Party has shown itself to have the capacity for what we're trying to bring to Lagos, which is transparency and accountability. Lagos, get ready for a Lagos that works for you and puts you first. A Lagos that solves problems with you at the center of it, not the interest of people that have perfected state capture for the last 19 years.
I decided to be gentle, to be quiet, and to be studying what was going on. The trick they made the last time, they perfected it a little bit more. You can see that the total accreditation was not the same thing with the total. It is because they have not perfected their rigging. So I reject it in totality. It's the personalities that committed the atrocities that need to be called to question. Just pardon the party. See, if they really want to win in Lagos, we are putting our legs in the same trouser now.
We'll take a break here, but still to come. Petrol subsidy poses existential threat to Nigeria. World Bank warns. Details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. President Muhammadu Buhari is currently meeting with relatives of the passengers abducted during an attack on a train in Kaduna. The development was announced in a tweet by the presidency on Thursday. The train, which was traveling from Abuja to Kaduna, was attacked on March 28th and several persons were killed, others sustained injuries, while over 50 people were kidnapped. We also told you that 2 more Islamic State of West Africa province ISWAP terrorists linked to the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Ondo State have been arrested. Gunmen had on June 5 stormed the Catholic Church, killing over 40 worshippers and injuring others. Giving an update on the arrest made, the Director of Defense Information, Jimmy Apple, said 2 more suspected ISWAP fighters linked to the attack have been apprehended. But in case to miss any of our news bulletins, for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. And now to COVID-19 stories and updates. Africa's Center for Disease Control says it is hopeful South African pharmaceutical firm Aspen Pharmacare will get orders for its own brand of COVID-19 vaccine. The public health body had announced last month that it is in detailed discussions with buyers to generate demand for Aspen's COVID-19 vaccine, Aspenovax. Aspen currently produces vaccines for Johnson & Johnson, but is struck a deal in March to produce, price and sell its own brand version of the shot for African markets. However, a report says the pharmaceutical firm is yet to receive even a single order, fearing that its 450 million dose annual production capacity would soon be idle. We'll take another breather and return with more stories in business. To stay with us.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
The president must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back. Simi Saladi-Gunat joins us for more stories in business. Over to you, Simi.
Thank you, Folashade. Welcome to Business News. The World Bank has said the current petrol subsidy regime poses an existential threat to Nigeria. The statement was made by the senior public sector specialist, domestic resource mobilization at the World Bank, Rajul Awasti, at a virtual pre-summit organized by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group on Wednesday. Awasti said Nigeria is currently in an unfavorable economic situation due to dwindling revenue, the continued payment of trillions of naira on fuel subsidy by the government, and the attendant economic challenges. He added that the country's oil revenue was also falling even when oil prices were higher, maintaining that Nigeria will have no choice but to get rid of the subsidy eventually. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malame, has declared that state governors have no basis to complain about deductions from the Paris Club refund paid to consultants they hired. The AGF said that the noise-making arising from the Governors' Forum was not only unjustified but a clear case of absence of defense. Speaking when he featured on the ministerial media briefing organized by the Presidential Communications Team at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, the minister reminded reminded the governors that they created liability whose payment they have also indemnified.
When eventually successes were recorded associated with the refund associated with Paris Club, the governors, collectively and individually, presented a request to the federal government for refund. And among the components of the claim presented for the consideration of the federal government was a component relating to the payment of these consultants that are now constituting the subject of contention. We took further steps after receiving these reports from the EFCC, among others, to demand for indemnity from the governors. Look, as a forum, you incurred this liability. As a forum, you submitted to consent judgment. As a forum, we have subjected these claims to investigation and we have a report. But even at that, we need independent indemnity from you, establishing that it is with your consent and understanding that this payment should be made in writing. And I am happy to report to you that the governors individually and collectively provided the desired indemnity to the office of the Attorney General, conceding, agreeing, and submitting that the payment should be made. And yes, and that was the basis and the ground on the basis of which we eventually took a decision advising the president that the payment should be made.
We'll go on a short break here and be back with stock market reports. The Nigerian equities market has failed to sustain the previous day's gains and is back in the bears on Thursday, recording a decline of 0.12%. The loss is driven by topmost laggards, Stanbic IBTC and United Bank for Africa UBA. Now, the all-share index and market capitalization also decreased from preceding day highs to 50,014 basis points and 26.9 trillion naira respectively. The top decliners for Thursday are Associated Bus Company and Jais Bank PLC with a loss of 1 naira 13 kobo. The top gainers are Nigerian Aviation Handling Company and FCMB, ending with a total gain of 9 naira and 18 kobo. Now, at the close of trading, investors exchanged a total of 133 million volume of shares with a value of over 2 billion naira in 4,292 deals. Now, Wall shares were mixed on Thursday after Wall Street benchmarks closed at 3-month highs. So our select global stocks, UK's FTSE and US Dow Jones, are in green, leaving Japan's Nikkei in the bears at 0.65%. Well, that's all on stock. Back to you, Folashade.
Well, many thanks, Simi, for that update on the foreign scene. Former Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has left Singapore on Thursday, the city's state's immigration office said after a social visit pass expired. It did not say where the former leader was headed to, but the Thai Foreign Ministry, as well as a source in Colombo, said he was seeking a new safe haven in Thailand. Rajapaksa fled to Maldives on July 13 and then to Singapore, where he announced his resignation after months of protest over Sri Lanka's economic meltdown. And in sport, faced with severe limits and spending in order to comply with La Liga's financial controls, Barcelona's attempts to establish themselves once again as a force in La Liga and the Champions League this season have seen the club spend 153 million euros on transfer fee, with Robert Lewandowski the most notable new arrival. The club sold also 25% of their domestic television rights for the next quarter of a century to U.S. investment firm Sixth Street for some 400 million euros. Barcelona have also been selling off assets to bring in money by activating a series of what has been called economic levers. The heavily indebted Catalans are hoping to further ease their financial problems by reducing their wage bill. And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Folashade. Day. Bye for now.